So we're holding the third bracha, Atta Kadosh. So we have the first bracha is Chesed, it's kindness. Like Magen Avram, the idea of Magen Avram. So these are three brachas of Shvach. These are three praising. First one is for Midas HaChesed, the idea of Chesed, of kindness. So we talk about Zecher Chaziyavis, maybe Geil Levnei V'nei, and it's all about Chesadim, kindness. Magen Avram. The second one corresponds to Yitzchak, which is Atta Gibor. Atta Gibor is the idea of Gevura, Machaya Mesim, the idea of resurrection, the idea of strength, power. So first is Chesed, then is Gevura. And the third, which is Atta Kadosh, which will be the final one of the first three, is the idea of Shvach, of Tiferes, which Tiferes corresponds to the midah of Yaakov, and Akela Gadol Agiba V'Anoira, Gadol Akela Gadol Agiba V'Anoira, Gadol Agiba V'Anoira, Gadol Agiba V'Anoira. Gadol is Chesed. Gadol is greatest Chesed. That's a midah of Chesed. In the earlier Sifri Kabbalah, Gadol and Chesed are interchangeable. Sometimes it says Gadol, Gadol is instead of Chesed. So Gadol, Akela Gadol Gibor is Gvura, which is Yitzchak. So it said Dafka. This was the second bracha was connected to the Akedah, the story of the Akedah, which is a form of Tchias HaMeis, or resurrection. The third one is connected to Yaakov, Kila Gadol Givan Noira. Noira is kedusha. Man Noira Makan Zakim Kim Zebeis Hashem. That Yaakov says Dafka, specifically the idea of Noira. Noira is the idea of connected to Kadosh, and it's going to be Yaakov Midas HaTiferes, the attribute of Tiferes. So let's understand a little bit what this is, and it's connected specifically, like the Medrash says. This is connected. This tefillah, the Shmonas, is connected specifically to when Yaakov said Daven Vayivka B'Makom by Tfilas Arvis. When Yaakov davened Ma'ariv, and he said Manar Makom Hazeh, that's when the Malachim said Atta Kadosh Shimcha Kadosh. That's why there's a lot of allusions, a lot of ideas that are connected to Yaakov in general. There's a pasuk. There's a few times a psukim in Tanakh call Yaakov Kadosh Yaakov, Kadosh Yisrael, Kadosh Yaakov. You don't have this idea of Kadosh. You don't have the idea of Kadosh with any of the other avos. There's no phrase of Ram Kadosh or Yitzchak Kadosh in Tanakh. And the Radak writes in Yeshaya, Perek Mavav. The Radak writes that it's specifically the idea of kedusha specifically is something that's found with Yaakov, and the Radak gives a reason connected to that. He was to the dream that he was mutzav artzav rosh Megiah Shemaima, that he was in the ground and he saw the heavens, and he says man noir makom hazeh, and that's where the Yaakov is connected to kedusha. But he doesn't explain why. Specifically the idea of kedusha is literally translated as holy. Why is holy connected that specifically to Yaakov? But it is. Some of the Rishonim write that there is, in the Nusach of the Ari, which is also the Nusach of Shalach Kadosh, the Nusach is Atta Kadosh 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 Muchal Yem Melucha Sela Baruch Atah Hashem Ekela Kadosh. That's it. That's the whole bracha. So you have 14 words. 14 words. And the allusion for that is also passing Yeshaya and Perek Vov. It's 14 words. So it corresponds to kedusha. But 14 also is very much connected to Yaakov, right? First of all, when he comes out of already, when he's a Yadei Chazas, his hand is holding on to Esav. His Yad is 14, and then he's 14 years in Shem Ve'ever, and he works to marry Rachel for 14 years, 7 and 7. And there's a Medrash Tanchum in Parsha that says that Yaakov is actually the father, talking this week's Parsha, the Shimon, that Ephraim and Asher, Reuven and Shimon, he's the head of 14 Shvatim. So there's something about this idea that Yaakov is connected to the number 14, which is like a yad. But we have to understand a little what is kedusha. What is kedusha? When we say the idea of kedusha, and how does it work? Like, what are we saying? We're saying the first bracha is connected to Chesed. The second bracha is connected to Gevurah, to Gibor, and the third one is connected to Kadosh. So how does this? And that's the Hashlama. That's the end. So you have Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, or you have Kela Gola Givanera, you have these things, and then you can start going into bakashas, to the idea of bakashas. Why specifically could you go to the place of bakashas once you have these three? Why not go chesed gvura to fast? And that's you can do it many different ways. But somehow this is the hashlama, this is the completion of this idea. So on a very simple level, is that you're saying, what's shvach? Shvach, you're saying that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is koin hakol v'zecher chazi always, that Hashem is a mashpia chsadim. That's in the first bracha. The second one is mashpia gevuras, tchias hamesim, gevura. And despite the fact that this chesed and gevura, which means despite the fact that, and chesed and gevura, they would be the two major basic, the two columns, the two things that can be done in this world. So besides the fact that there's ashpa of these of chesed and gevura, still HaKadosh Baruch Hu is kadosh. Kadosh means muvdal, nevdal. So there's a bechira to be haboicha b'shir zimra. There's a bechira to be connected to shir v'zimra, to shvachim. That Hashem says, okay, you're mashabeach me for chesed and for gevura, but the truth is, you should know. That's the one way to say it. That you're saying that despite everything that we just said now, that there's going to be ashpa. Let's, in simple language, we're saying that we're drawing down a particular ashpa, a certain type of shefa into this world. Then we're gonna down for choin, for das, for refu, whatever we're gonna do. It's coming down from chesed and gevura, from these two midas. Either it's in the chesed form or it's in the gevura form. You should know that the mashpia is other kadosh. Really, even the fact that there's the ashpa, ultimately a Kadosh Baruch is transcendent of that. So that's one way of understanding it. But there's a little more ba'omek what it is, and we'll have to understand what the omek is. And this Atta Kadosh, the Shalom Kadosh writes that when you're saying the Atta Kadosh and the Kadosh, it's similar to what we did already in Birchas Kishma. We also said the same thing, Kadosh, but over there it's Sipur Ba'alma. But there we're speaking about it. Now we're actually connecting to it. So it's a difference. Huh? Before in Birchas Kishma. Yeah, Kadosh, Birchas Kishma. So you're saying, you're describing. It's a sipur dvarim. You're saying this is Malachim say Kadosh, and then we say Baruch, but it's a sipur dvarim Ba'alma. And now you're actually mamshech. You're mamshech the kedusha. We're mamshech the kedusha. Okay, but what is this? What is it? What are we trying to be mamshech, and what is it connected? So let's start first with the word Atta. We spoke a little bit about it, but let's two more Mekayim says it's interesting to see what the word Atta is, because you start Atta Kadosh, Atta Gibor, right? Atta Kadosh, Atta Gibor. You start with Atta. Now Atta means you, so it'll be Atta Chaynos, but Atta is you. Now the simple reason why you say Atta is, and you don't say Baruch Atah Hashem, is because the bracha is smucha l'chavata. So it's a bracha smucha l'chavata. It's connected to its other bracha. So you don't start with it. That's the simple reason. So let's look over here. There's a Ramban in Parshas B'Shalach. The Ramban writes like this: Ki habrachas yesh ba malchus. We can't take the brachas. Asher Yishalom Tzeisav Tzivanu. In the brachas, when we daven, we say the bracha Asher Yishalom Tzeisav Tzivanu, who commanded us. Ki habrachas yesh ba malchus. A bracha has Hashem. Kol bracha she'em Hashem malchus. Not a bracha, which means that we're speaking Hashem as the king. V'amitzvus is stava lonim in ha'olam adolam, and mitzvus is a stava. We're commanded by the melech, by the king, for a mitzvah. V'maskal yavin. So the structure of mitzvus is that there is a commander, and we're commanded. So the commander, the relationship that we have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this posture is HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the commander, the mitzvah, which is the melech, the king, and we're in the mitzvah. V'ine meir necha ki kol brachas yesh b'shem malchus ukein. This is what we say, that every bracha we say Shem Malchus is we're Machala Kavod L'Malchus Olam. So Machala Kavod means we're saying that Hashem is the king, and your relationship to king is that is Yira, that is the posture of Yira, which means Yimakal Ilmach Shemayim. But if you don't mask in Malchus, then you have Noichach, then you have direct speech, third person. Which when I'm talking about Asher Kedusha, who commanded us? you're talking about someone else. You're not talking directly to the person. If I'm talking about you, so I don't say you are the person that commanded. I say you told us. Asher Geshalom V'Tzoyis V'Tzivonu is talking in third person. You're talking to me about somebody else. Asher Geshalom V'Tzoyis that he commanded us. When we're saying that he commanded us, there's a level of distance. That's the nature of the languaging of saying distance, because it's malchus, kingship, and kingship in the concept of malchus. There's even in the Rasag writes that when it says in the Torah, Nasa Adam Kitzalmenu, so the Rasag says, why is it Lashon Rabim? Why is it plural? So he says it's the royal we, right? When you talk about the king talks to himself. Yeah, you don't talk about you can't talk about yourself. So therefore, there's like a level of distance. But then when you're not maskir malchus, when you don't have malchus, then what you have is lashon loichach, Atta Gibor, Atta Kadosh. So there's a lashon of direct speech. So in other words, you can say that the reason why you can say Atta Gibor because it's bracha simcha lechaverta, because it's connected to the other bracha, and you have malchus in the previous bracha, so you don't have to say the bracha. It's a pshat. It's a hemshech. No, but the Ramban is saying something different. So of course that's the pshat. That's the literal halachic reason why you don't have to say it doesn't need sheva malchus. But he's saying what you're doing is then you're ending up getting to a lashon noich. You're actually saying direct Atta Gibor. I'm talking to you. I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking directly to you. So there's a level of comfort, a level of communication, a level of connection that you can't have when you're talking about malchus. By definition, malchus inherently means that you can't. The melech by definition has to have a certain level of reservation and separation. But when you say Atta Gibor or Atta Kadosh, you can actually speak directly lashon loichach. Lashon loichach means that you're talking in first person and you're talking directly. The experience is direct. I'm not talking about, but I'm talking to. There's a Torah that in the Likutei Moharan. And he brings this a few times, and it's an interesting thing, but it doesn't really explain what this is. I think that's what he means. If you look at the next page, he says, Reish Nun Vav, Shem Atta, Mesugal al Hayom Lachni Hagalim. You have it? On the right column, the bottom. That the name Atta, there's a name Atta. The next page. It says Reish Nun Vav. Tucked away. It's the second to the last paragraph. Huh?
No, Reish Nun is a small.
Reish Nun Vav. It has two lines. Right side on the bottom. Shem Atta Mesugal al Hayom Lachni Hagalim. The Shem Atta, the Mechavan of Shem Atta. Shem Atta is an original Shem. It's a shame that he says Esa Shemaim Sham Atta. He has also Shem Atta also in the Likutei Moharan. But this idea is Shem Atta Mesugal al Hayom Lachni Hagalim. V'soy Galav Atta Tzapachem. That when there's Galav, when there's Galim, when there's waves, if you mechav the name Atta, then all the waves disappear. What's pshat? What is he saying? He's saying is that Shem life is Galgalim. Life is a Galgal. It's a Galgal HaChozer. There's waves. There's ups and downs. Ups and downs in the relationship is I'm sometimes related to you in an up place, sometimes related to you in a down place. Shem Atta is you. You, there's no up and down. If let's say I know you, I know you when you're in a good state, and I know you're in a bad state. But that's a reflection of you. That's your mood. I know that you're in a good mood. I know you're not in a good mood. But when you say I know you, there's the Hilim, there's Malachim Oilav Yarden Boy, V'hina Hashem Nitzav. The two separate states. There's Malachim Oilav Yarden Boy, there's ups and downs, but the Nitzav, the presence of I, of the Atta, is the I that's there when there's up and when there's down. So what's the word? B'soy Galav Atta Shapchem, when a person connects to the Madrega to the level of Atta, doesn't matter. There's no the waves don't matter. It's not if going up or it's going down. So B'shem Atta. This is a Chassidish word on a twisting on a name. He makes up. It's a name that is Machav. This is purely from Likutei Moharan. There's no such. The Arizal doesn't talk about this name, but this name he says this is the name. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame. And you Machav the Shem Atta, huh?
Obviously is. This Atta 3 times in Shmoneh refers to the Rebbeinu Shalom.
Atta is referring to the Rebbeinu Shalom. I'm saying, but he's saying it's a shame. In other words, it's you, but there's if you're machavan to you, you can use it as a shem. In other words, what's the whole kavanah Ari using shemus? You're machavan a certain shame to mamtik a certain type of din. There's a certain type of problem. We talked about Shem Agla last time, Atta Gibel Das, or Shem Aleph Lamed Daled, that has to be birth. So it's a certain Mechavan, a certain Shem, to create a certain reality. What's the Shem Atta? When he says Atta Gibor, Atta Kadosh. When I'm Mechavan to Atta, then B'Sei Galav, there's no Galan. I can weather any storm. If I'm related to the Atta, then I don't have any, I'm not up and not down, I'm okay. And I don't get stuck. I don't get stuck in the up and the down because I'm chav ta'ata. I think just think about it in terms of a relationship. This even with with your children, with your wife, your children. If I'm dependent on your moods, okay, one day you're feeling good, one you're not feeling good. But if I'm connected to you, so that doesn't matter. Okay, fine. You're not in a good mood. I get it. So fine. It doesn't matter. We're still in a relationship. This is the Atta Gibber. So this is a way.
Why am I connected to the you? Because there was already Malchus in the Brachas Muhammad.
That's already a Torah. You don't have to say that. What do you could say? It's l'maylam mazah. You could say it's also l'maylam mazah. It's smuchel l'chavta, but it's higher than the chavta.
So you were mamlechem already in the previous bracha.
No, I understand that shot.
Status of Atta remains. That's what I'm saying.
Or you can say that smuchel l'chavta means, if you want to do a chassidish pshat, what smuchel l'chavta means it's higher than the chavta. No, that would be a chassidish interpretation. So what chavta means, there's malchus, there's a derech of malchus, but what happens if you're married with malchus? If let's say you're married with malchus, so the Rambam holds that a woman should treat his husband like a melech. Of course, the husband has to treat his wife like yes begufa, but the Rambam kisaru kemelech. Yeah, what if it's a married with malchus? Okay, but what if it's Atta? So there's taka married with malchus, but there's Atta. I still have a relationship with you. So okay, we'll make up. We'll figure it out. In the sense, this is what we're saying. Even if there's the whole idea of tshuva, the whole possibility to change, the whole idea that it could be go, is because our relationship is Atta. So hecher. In other words, you looking at mitzad the kli, it looks like it's lower, but mitzad the oy, it's actually higher. The reason why it's doesn't need a bracha shem malchus because it's higher than shem malchus. It's Atta. That's why we say Atta Kadosh. We're talking directly to an intention that is Ma'aver Kol HaGalam. This is the word of Atta. So this is Atta Kadosh. Now we have to understand what is Kadosh. So we talked a little bit once before, but we'll have to go through this quickly again. We'll go. This. I'm sorry. Let's go into a few pages further, and then we'll go backwards. Because this is a new Maramakim. I mean, it's not new. It's an old Maramakim, but it's a new. I don't think I ever spoke about this Maramakim, but it's a good Maramakim. It's Rabbeinu Bechaya. It's Rabbeinu Bechaya. It's like 3 pages ahead of this. 1, 2, 3. It's Reish Samach Vav. It's second to the last page. Rabbeinu Bechaya. Yeah. So this is Rabbeinu Bechaya. It talks about the whole thing with the maklis with Yaakov. And then he has a vort over here like this. Akein Amar Azal. La'olam yikadesh atzim b'shas tashmish. So there's a big idea of kedusha b'shas tashmish. So b'chal, the idea of kedusha, we don't know what kedusha means, but let's say the idea of kedusha. Kedusha is in two primary things that are connected to kedusha in the Torah. One is kol makom shenemar kedusha gather erva sham yesh kedusha, which is connected to erva. So that's one issue, like a negative what? Kedusha, yeah, it's connected to erva. That's one thing. So it's kedusha binyane tashmish, or in relationship, physical intimacy. That's connected to kedusha. And then there's also kedusha sachila. These are the two things that you find kedusha, specifically kedusha. For example, if you look at the Rambams, it has in the Yad, there's a sefer called Sefer Kedusha, and in the Sefer Kedusha, he has two things. He has bias asuris, which is kedusha's amacholos asuris, which means food and relationships. These are the two inyanim on kedusha. Why these are the two inyanim kedusha? These are the two primary inyanim kedusha because that's the two No, it's more. That's the two issues that we actually share with all animals, with everything in life. This is the most, parveravim and oichem v'shoisim, that the shadim are kibnei adam. This is what it is. We are compared like animals. The two things that but the oimik is because this is where it's mizbata definition of where our being as part of all of creation. Everything in this universe wants two things. It wants to self-preserve and self-perpetuate. That's it. There's two things. Every tree, every animal, every blade of grass, and every human being. There's two primary forces in the human being. The primary force is I need to preserve myself, which is, we'll say, the idea of gvura, if you talk about it in the spheres. And then there's the sphere of chesed, which means I need to perpetuate myself. And people will go on, there's like a little, animals that go on mamish mesiras nefesh. They die to procreate, right? Because the idea is that to preserve and to procreate, to perpetuate, these are the two most innate, essential things, what it means to be a human being. And what it means to be an animal, what it means to be a tree, and means any other aspect of life. So in that aspect, where we're most like anything else, there's mizbata, the idea, specifically where the idea of kedusha is. We don't understand what kedusha is, but this is what kedusha is. So if you look at like the Rambam, or you take a sefer like Reishis Chachma. Reishis Chachma is a sefer that was written by Rilo de Vidas, one of the Talmidim of the Ramak, which is a collection of mostly a collection of the Zohar, shtiklach of the Zohar about Musar. And the two things they talked about, two types of kedusha, is kedusha zachila and kedusha tashmish. That's the two things. On the Shalom Kadosh also, if you take in Shar Oisis, and Oisis kedusha, kuf in kedusha, you'll see it's kedusha bia and kedusha achila. These are the two things. All the svarim, that's the two things that they talk about is kedusha. These are the two issues. So when you talk about that a person has to be mekadosh, has to be tashmish, that it has to be dafke be kedusha. So what's kedusha? It's a good conversation. What's kedusha? Before you read this Rabbeinu Bechai, what are you going to think kedusha? Kedusha is some type of havdalah, some type of kafu keshed, that some type of this is what the idea of kedusha is. Look what he says. Kedusha zu, he tires some achshava. This be'emes is, if you look at the Igeres Kodesh from the Ramban wrote an Igeres Kodesh in response to the Rambam. The Rambam wrote that in Yonei physical intimate issues is Cherper Hilanu. This is the Rambam Shitta B'chal. Whatever, the Rambam has a very strong Shitta about this, and the Ramban wrote a letter called Igeres Kodesh, which is response to the Rambam, and he starts off that the highest level of kedusha that you can mechaven is kedusha of attachments. That's the highest level of kedusha. That's why in Shir Hashim it's dafka the highest level of Shir is Kodesh Kadosh. Mekiva says it's the highest level of kedusha because that's the highest level of yichud. That's the highest possibility of yichud that we can experience in this world. So, but here he says, and he says, Bismana, if you look in the Ramban there, he says, Bismana machim, isha nachim, whatever, it has to be all the right conditioning, and then it's the highest level. But here's the oasis like this. So this goes, which he's talking about the whole thing about Bentmur, exactly, the whole thing that he talks about why the maklis that they're mechaven with the stone. And this is the highest level of kedusha. So the highest level of kedusha doesn't say to kafir shed and they should do doesn't say that. The highest level of kedusha is that you're mamish. In the Lashon HaZoyer, it's begufa the beratzin the bechet the that you have mamish one kavana, you're mamish present, fully present with that other person. Obviously, in the right time, the right person, the right place. Huh? Anything. No, that's what he's saying. No. But this is what he's saying. Read the whole shtickle. He's saying the whole shtickle is that the problem with the maklis is that if someone's mechav one thing and meshas tashmas is doing something else. So the famous marshal that they bring down Mashiach Medrash is with Isha Kushis. You're familiar with the story with the Melech. They gave his wife had a baby, a dark kid, And they couldn't figure out, and then they saw there was a tzura of something in the kingdom. But the idea was that if you're not present fully with that other person, fully, then it's not kedusha. So kedusha is complete focus. This is what I want to say. This is what kedusha is. Kedusha is you're doing this, whatever you're doing, you're mechaven. What? Huh?
That's mufresh.
Oh, we're going to talk about what's afrasha. But this is mukdash. Mukdash is you're doing this ma'isa, and you're not mechaven rak beishte.
But the shorish of the word kedusha is kedash.
Is mufresh. So, okay, so exactly. So let's see. We'll see. Yeah. With this idea. Yeah, could be. Correct. So let's go back. Now you're going to say what you say. The word kedusha. Let's go back a little bit. We'll see what the word kedusha is. Then we'll see how this works. So but pashtus, you'll say that what the Kadosh means. Kadosh means something that's mufresh, that's nevdal, that's separate. But so over here from the Kelos Yaakov he writes, it's a Talmud l'chayze, Kadosh should davuk bechinis yisoid u'malchus. Nikar Kadosh. That Kadosh, going back to the second page. That Kadosh should davuk bechinis yisoid u'malchus. Nikar Kadosh. So what is Kadosh? Someone that's davuk to yisoid u'malchus. God, this is what I heard of word. It's a chassidische word, but I heard a word. Someone said that it's not printed, but it's a gishmak chassidische word. Someone said, but it says in Svarim, you should mechaven tzaddikim, you should mechaven other things. This is so he says, no, you have to mechaven that your wife is a tzaddik. So this is it's an emes word. I heard this. I heard this word from a yid that I heard from Today, the biggest God will be Yisrael in the Litvish world is who? You should know. You're from the Chavod. Who was it? Rabbi Gershon Elishin, but Pashas, right? Or Shivan Panovich. I heard this from his brother. B'Shem his Rebbe. You know who his Rebbe was? No. He used to go every year, him and his brother. This is a very interesting piece of information. They used to go to Kfar Chabad to go haktel play Rabbi Beregel. They used to go to Kfar Chabad. Why? Because the Chassidish Yid, Lubavitcher Chassid, they called him Mon Yishner, who taught them till they were 16, 17 years old in Russia. He taught them how to read, he taught them Mishnayos, and taught them Gemara. He was a Mamad El Daitam, and they considered him their Rebbe. And this I heard him say Mon Yishner, this word. I heard it from his brother, from the Mekubal, he passed away, his younger brother. Yeah. So it's a Chassidish word that it comes from through a Litvish strand, but I'm telling you it's an Amazigh word. Anyways, Kadosh Udavik Bechinis Yisayid Malchus Nikar Kadosh. That Kadosh is someone that's Davik Bechinis Yisayid Malchus. Now, Yisayid Malchus is they're big words, but let's say what is Yisayid Malchus? Same Kutcher Brichu Shchinte. Yeah, we say Shem Yuchu Kutcher Brichu Shchinte. That's Yisayid Malchus. So what is Yisoid? Midas HaYisoid is Kutcher Brichu, which is transcendent. Midas HaMalchus is immanence. That's the basic structure. One is transcendence, one is Soivikal, one is Malakam. So Yisoid is always the higher, Kutcher Brichu. Kutcher Brichu Shchita is your Mamshech Kutcher Brichu from Koyach HaMakif from higher transcendence to the level of Pnimi. That's the Yichu Kutcher Brichu Shchita. So what's Kadosh? So he said, what is the idea of Kadosh? Kadosh is someone that's Davuk to Yisoid and Malchus. Not to Yisoid, which is Afrosha, not to Malchus, which is immanence. Someone is Davik to Yisoid and Malchus. This is one Nakuda. Let's go another few pieces of shtiklach. What you were saying about Mezuman, this is from the Meah Shilach. But it's not, this has another form, but this some yeah. So Kedoshim to you. So the Meah Shilach writes, Kedoshim to you, kedusha lashon hazmana. He talks about a more navoida that a person is mitzapa Yeshua Hashem, but kedusha means that you're prepared, you're ready, you're hineni, you're ready. Now the next shtickle is from the Imir Noam, from the Jikavar. Kedoshim to you. So he says, ki kadosh soivel beis perushim, ledaiti nir ki kadosh soivel beis perushim. That kadosh actually has two types of perushim. One is lifish atzam menachet. One is prisha, separation. Like Rashi said, kedoshim to you, perushim to you, l'tzamtzem es tavoisav. Kaddish, which means to restrict yourself. That's kedusha. I'm transcending, I'm restricting. That's Kadosh Atzum Mutlach. That's the Ramban, right? The Ramban says on Kadoshim to you that the Pirush is Kadosh Atzum Mutlach. Was mit Tarnish, Tarnish, und I feel was meg, darf man nicht. Yeah. That's the Lashon of the Alter Rebbe. Kadosh Atzum Mutlach. Who begin is Tzimtzum. That's the idea of Tzimtzum, to constrict. V'gam yesh l'fayr tevis Kadoshim, Lashon Loisi Kadesha. Loisi Kadesha means you shouldn't be Kadesha. Not that you shouldn't restrict, the opposite. Shado begin is Muzum L'kol. It actually means someone's a Muzum L'kol. That's a Kadesha. Kadesha means someone that's hefker. Mufker for everybody, which means I'm ready for everybody. One is ashpa. Kedusha means to be mashpia, to give, and one is the opposite, to be mitzamtzim. Okay. So he has a whole pirush in this, but these are the two nekudas that we see. There's a Mor Yanayim. I'm sorry, the Mor V'Shemesh. This is more in avoida. But he has a long arichas, which is a nice shtickle, anyways, to see. He has a long arichas about what kedusha is, and he brings on the Rambam that a person is affected by his surroundings, and then he writes over there in Lashon Hasig kedusha al yoina ein zeicha achi dok atzmei lanchi Hashem. That real kedusha is if you want to attain a measure of kedusha of what it means to be holy, you have to actually mishtat with other people. You can't. Kedusha is not a private path of isolation, of transcendence, like a detachment from this world. But you have to be engaged with other people. And then he brings down B'Shem Melech of Luzensk in the next page, which is his Rebbe. He brings down a word. If a person separates himself and is hidden, and a person is mizboina, meditates alone with himself in his room, and thinks that that's the main avoida, to be separated from other people, to meditate alone in your room. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I don't see him. I don't see him like the other people don't see him. Just like other people don't see him, I also don't see him. If you separate yourself from other people, and you say, I don't want other people to see me, this says, no one sees you, no one, I also don't see you. And he says, Ikar is Boydis Machshava. Machshava, in your mind, you can practice his Boydis, you can practice some type of level of separation. But in terms of, or the language of Risham Shas Topoler is Toiv Bedidus B'Soich B'nei Adam and Precious Min B'nei Adam. Toiv Bedidus B'Soich B'nei Adam and Precious Min B'nei Adam. It's better to practice his Bedidus with other people, in public, in the collective, part of being part of the tzibur, part of the collective, Precious Min B'nei Adam. They're separated from your other people.
Talking about seclusion.
Seclusion.
Not
Seclusion.
Being responded for a few minutes.
Seclusion. Yeah, but I'm seclusion. Like real old school, real old school chassidus that was very prevalent in times of the in times of the beginning of chassidus, in times of Rabbi Melech of the Name. Okay, so that's what he's saying. So the word is that kedusha is, we have two constructs of the idea of kedusha. That on one hand, the idea of kedusha represents a type of detachment, a precious min haroyos, precious min achila, separation, that you're transcending. I'm like, I don't need to eat that. I don't need to do this. I can be higher. And then you say, the other hand, what is the idea of kedusha? Kedusha means that I'm dafke involved. I'm azumah to be mispashet. So what's the oimik of that idea? So there's a shtickle from the Mesilas Yesharim, where he explains the difference between Tara and kedusha, the difference between purity and kedusha, and he says like this: Hatara hu tikkun alev machshavos. That Tara is that you purify your heart and your thoughts. And he says, what is that? And even physical action. That you only take from the world what you need, and you're living a parashtika life, a separate life.
Tahara and kedusha the same?
No. This is what he says in Perek Tezayin. What is Tahara? This is Tahara. Then he goes, a You should only think. You only think what the tachlis is. You only take exactly what you need, and you practice as much as you can precious from this world. That's what tar is. Well, what is kedusha? Kedusha ends the Mesilas Yesharim ends like this. Mamash at the end of the Mesilas Yesharim, because it follows the path of Pinchas ben Yair, and finally maybe the kedusha, maybe the tichas hamesim, and maybe the Mashiach. So what's kedusha? So kedusha is like this. Bebeir midas kedusha. By the way, there's a letter from the Ramchal that the Ramchal writes that the Ramchal didn't go with a beard. I don't know if you know this, don't know this. The Ramchal didn't go with a beard, but a lot of Italian Mekubalim didn't go with beards. So it's a long story. The Marami Panu, the Chassam Sofer said it's not a real picture, but the Italian Mekubalim say that you're not allowed to wear a beard in Chutz La'aretz. It's too holy. You're not allowed to wear a beard in the Chutz La'aretz. So they didn't go with a beard. Also, the Ramchal didn't go to the mikveh every day. He didn't go to the mikveh there. I don't know. That wasn't such a minig. So they wrote him, when there was a big controversy in the Ramchal's forum, they wrote him a letter that you're no use for if you don't go to the mikveh, and you don't go with a beard. Who are you, B'chal? You call yourself like a holy person? That doesn't make any sense. So he writes a whole long letter that he writes was kedusha is not to go to the mikveh 100 times, it's not to wear a beard. It's not bechitzonis. I'm not saying this is what he defends himself. He says the ikar kedusha is ben adam chaver and mischasen and koinai. The person that does things for the Eibush's purpose, and the person that lives with yichud, the person that lives with dveikus, that's the ikar kedusha. Yeah, don't go to the mikveh. Do go to the mikveh. Okay, that's already it's on haga. Anyways, but here in Mesilas Yesharim he actually writes this more clearly. What is the idea of kedusha? Because we're talking about kedusha. What is kedusha? Ikar kedusha kafalu. V'hainu tichilasa avoda v'sefer gmul. Tichilasa ishtadlus v'sefer matana. That it starts off that you work to get kedusha, but other mekadosh atzmi lamata, mekadosh ma'is l'mayla, mekadosh a little bit, then mekadosh ma'is l'mayla. Tichilasa ishtadlus v'sefer matana. You'd start with avoda, but then it comes matana. It brings out other mekadosh atzmi lamata, mekadosh ma'is l'mayla. So he says like, hishtadlus hu shi adam nidel l'nektem l'chumis l'gamri. The ishtadlus is that a person should be nevdel v'netak m'chumis l'gamri. A person should separate himself from the material, from the desires of the physical. Even when you're doing a physical action, you should be davuk, connected to something that is dveikus, something that's transcendent. So he says, Sefer Kedusha Matana. He says that at in other words, you want to live a transcendent life, and you want to be davik in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you don't want to be connected to the silliness of this physical world or the foods, whatever it is. So you're davik. It says at the end there's going to be a kedusha that's going to be ashra on you. It says at the end what happens is everything becomes transformed. You become so davuk that your whole life becomes, everything that you do is kedusha, because if you're doing things without a hechech just because you need to do it, then you're still a level of tahara. I need to eat. What should I do? I should eat. I don't like to eat. I don't want to eat. I don't enjoy eating, but I have to eat to survive. So I eat. Really, I want to be davik in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I want to experience dveikus. I want to experience transcendence in this world. Okay, but avakadosh adavik tamig lekov nafshim misaleches ben avakol mitzvah ba'avos in a nechshel ki ilu mishalach v'nishim arz achayim. I don't poi ba'ilum haza. When a person reaches that level of that madrega, everything becomes a makava. Everything becomes part of transcendence. And then you go, and then every action that you do becomes holy. So what is kedusha? Let's try to translate this, at least Lefi Arkeinu, to understand what this is. There's Yesh, Ayin, Yesh. This is the way to think about it. There's Yesh, Ayin, Yesh. Yesh is existence, the material, the physical world, the pleasures of this world, the fullness of this world, the being of creation, the Yesh of creation. If a person lives for the purpose of attaining pleasure from this world, foods, whatever you use your imagination, everything what I can receive in the Yesh from this world, what ends up happening is you become enslaved to the Yesh, and you become swallowed. You swallow yourself in these taivas, and then you sink into the world of Olam Hazeh. It's like quicksand. It's desirable. You like it. You enjoy it. You get sucked into it. The next thing you know, that's your whole life is about is a nicer car and a better food and whatever you can use your imagination. This is the yeshes of this world, and this is the temptation. This is the desire of this world. So what do you do? A person wants to live a hecher existence. Someone wants to live something higher. Once a person wants to live with, let's say, kedusha, to higher in kedusha. So what do? You say, do I really need this? Is that something that I really need in my life? Or I can show that I have control over my life and I don't need to do this. Do I really need to have the food that has to taste exactly like this? If my coffee is a little bit colder than it usually is, I'm not going to drink it. It doesn't have enough sugar. Okay, so what? So I'm just eating it. I should. So you choose to be higher than the yeshus of Olam Hazeh, to be a little bit parish, which would mean, this translation would be nivdal, in this way of understanding, to separate yourself, that you're not entangled with Olam Hazeh. And the fact is, you're actually higher than it. You're hecher. You're transcendent of it. How do you know that you're transcendent of this world? Because you can prove yourself. You can be in the middle of the taiva, and you can stop. Let's say tainus arriva. What's tainus arriva? Tainus arriva is you're middle of eating and you stop eating. Why do you have to do that? What kind of craziness? You're middle of eating, enjoying a steak. Stop eating a steak. No, because what you're showing is that I am actually higher than the steak. I'm in control, and I'm hecher from these issues. I'm not just an animal that's just devouring anything that they see in front of them. But I have hecherkeit, I have kedusha, and I can be parish. If I can prove myself that I can be nifresh from something, that I can separate from myself, that means that I'm higher from it. That's the ayin of the experience. When you enter into the ayin of the experience, Olam Hazeh, the world of Olam Hazeh becomes empty. You empty it of its allure. You empty it because, I'll give you a mashal of this. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's think about this like this. When you're engaged in Olam Hazeh, it feels very real. Everything feels really real. When you choose to separate from yourself, everything becomes unreal. So let's say, imagine, if I tell you, you're walking down the street, and you see the world. It's a real world. There's a yesh. You see tables and chairs. And you see goats, and then I don't know what you see in the street. Whatever you see, you don't see goats. Whatever you see, deer. You see things. Okay, these are real things that have a real mamashas. Close your eyes for 1 second. It disappears. Open your eyes. It reappears. So if it reappears in your vision, in your vision, then it means it's just an illusion. It's a conception. It's only real because you chose to open your eyes and to see it this way. The moment you close your eyes, it becomes less real. Did you ever have this experience? I want you to explain. I want you not to think about this, but I want you to have this experience. You can be mamish involved in the mamish, the biggest type of Olam Hazeh, and the moment you're going to close your eyes, it's very depressing, by the way, this way of living, because Olam Hazeh just drops. It's just nothing. It's actually when it says it's Kingship, it's not Kingship. It's a conception. So you open your eyes. It's so gishmak. Really? Close your eyes. Open. It's just nothing. You understand? You are the controller, whether it's ayin, it's open, or whether it's there or not. And the moment you choose to be in the bechin of ayin, it actually loses everything. It loses its whole appetite because it's stuck in nothing. It's transient. It's nothing. It's just the conception of the eyes open. You're following with the sensation of this. This is a person can have this type of level of consciousness, or of awareness, of this type of thought process by just walking down the street. Just walking down the street, and you feel like, oh, I'm so stuck in all this trauma and all these things. Okay, close your eyes, open your eyes. Okay, the whole thing's But when you do that, what you're left with is a sense of a depressing feeling. Why? Because it's stuck in nothing. Okay, so then what am I doing? There's nothing here. Everything's just a game. It's just it's an illusion. It's all a facade. Huh? I got it. So okay, so do the mitzvah. So then you're doing, but yeah, everything. I'll tell you. If you're asking the question, if you really live this way, by the way, I just want to say, if you really, I'm not saying you should do it, but if you really live that way, everything becomes so worthless. Exactly. So even mitzvahs, okay, you're makayim the mitzvah because you have to do it, huh? Exactly. It becomes scary. It's when it's hakel hevel, it's haka hevel. Everything becomes havel hevel.
Where do you get chiyas from?
Nothing. There's no chiyas in this madrega. That's what I'm saying. The madrega of ayin, there's no chiyas.
To do it without chiyas.
Yeah. There's like a level of detachment. Now, that's not the end. That's not the tachlis. The tachlis is not to be in the mechinas ayin. When a person's in the mechinas ayin, of this level of detachment and just an observation, and the world just appears and disappears in every single moment, and nothing has real existence. There's Yesh, there's depression, and there's certainly no drive, and there's no chayas, there's no life, there's no passion. Okay, the problem is, so you have a problem, because if you live in the world of Yesh, there's full of passion, full of desires, but the problem is you keep on falling and slipping and falling, and it's catch-22. You feel the ayin. And you talk, but you're bored. Exactly. There's nothing happening. It's dry. It's a picture. It's a picture. Fine. Take this picture. Take the next picture. Oh, this is Atta Kadosh. This is Atta Kadosh. What's Atta Kadosh? What's kedusha? Kedusha is, that's why it says tchilase ba'avoida v'soife matana. In other words, the avoid is the ayin, but the soif is not the ayin. Who created the yesh? Who created the Metzias of Yesh? Who created the fullness of existence? You talk about the words from the Naim El-Melech. It says, is the Malayas of the Olam is Kvoidoi. The fullness of creation is the Eibish's Kavod. Or Amidah, there's a lot of Torahs like this in Naim El-Melech. The pshat is that who created the Yeshness of existence? The Baruch created the Yeshness of existence. So how does a person relate to the world in a way that they're coming from a bechina of Yesh and Ayin benoisa hafachim together? You have to come from Yesh Amiti. From the place of the Yesh Amiti is koil the Ayin and the Yesh. So that is the madrega of Kadosh. This is what the Immanence says. Kedusha is precious, but Kedusha is also azmana. Kedusha is simtzum, but Kedusha is also ispashtus. It's both. Why? Seven tzachwen. Because I am in a place that is transcendent of the yeshus, of the immediate yeshus of Elam Haza. How do I know I'm transcendent of the immediate yeshus of Elam Haza? Because I can practice precious. Because I can do it. If I can stop, if I can practice Tainus Aravid in the middle of eating, and I can use a marshal for many different things in any type of Taiva, if I can show myself that I can stop, means I'm hecher. But the point is not to be hecher and it's like, because if you're hecher, like, there's no Taiva, there's no desire, and there's nothing in the Elam Haza. But the sefer is matana. The sefer matana is then you become such a person that's such dveikus that vayachzol kim vayishtu vayishtu the chsidisha pshat. That
is the present.
That's exactly. That is the present. That's it. That's why it says the highest level of kedusha. What is the Rebbeinu B'chaya, right? The highest level of kedusha is isha. That's it. There's nothing else. Because let me go again. It's possible that you can have the same experience. You can live in the now or for the now, and they seem like a very similar type of experience, but they're a completely different idea. For the now is I'm a glutton, I'm a baltaiva, and I just do right now, and I don't care about anything else. I'm going to do it right now. But that means you're stuck in the yeshus, and who's controlling you? The yeshus is controlling you. The taiva is controlling you. You're just dangling on a desire. You have no seichel, no presence, no nothing. You desire, so you push whatever you do. You're like an animal, and fine. The animal sees hay, it sees that, it does that. It does whatever is presented in front of you. But you have seichel. You say, I want to experience this, but not for the now, in the now. I want to be present in the now. But if I'm going to be present in the now, if I'm going from the place of Yesh, I'm going to get stuck. How do I know if I'm not unstuck? I practice Ayin. Once I practice Bechinas Ayin, I can go back into the Yesh. But to get back into the Yesh, I need Matana. I need it to be opened. I need that type of awareness to open itself up. This is the madrega. This is the five madregas we talk about the neshama. You have nefesh, ruach, and neshama, which is the yeshus of existence. Nefesh is my physical presence. Ruach is my emotional, and the neshama is my seichel. That's my intelligence and my presence in the world. The yeshus in the world. My chaya is my ratzon, which is the precious, which is ayin. But ultimately, yechidah shebenefesh is the context that holds my ayin and my yesh together. So now let's go back to Atta Kadosh. Atta Kadosh, Shimcha Kadosh, Gdei Shimcha Yimei Luchasela. What are we saying Atta Kadosh? We're saying is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mashpia chsadim. Zeich chazi aves, that's chesed. That's the first tefillah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is masbia, and gives us shefa of Atta Gibel Elam Das. We need koyach, we need to get up, we need to be strong, we need to mechayim mesim, like we said, all the madregas of mechiyas mesim, we need chiyus. And we say, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's the koyach is not just Atta Kadosh that is muvdal. And that, therefore, it's Atta Kadosh that comes down as mashpia, the ashba of chesed and gvura. And where's the mashpia? Kadosh b'chol yamei luchasela. And what's Klal Yisrael? Klal Yisrael is kedoshim to you ki kadeshani. Klal Yisrael is the gather of kedusha. What's the gather of kedusha and Klal Yisrael? The gather of kedusha and Klal Yisrael is someone that has the midas hatiferes, someone that can bring both the yesh and the ayin. That's why it's Yaakov. Chesed is Avram, Gvur is Yitzchak, but Midas Tiferes is L'chol Hashem Gvur Tiferes Matan Torah. Why is Matan Torah? Is Al Yonim Tachtonim. That there was the marriage between Al Yonim Tachtonim is the idea of kedusha. Kedusha is when I can mechaber these two things together, where it's Tchila B'Avodah, but Sofa is going to be B'Matana. This is huh? It's Frank Chies. No, nicht Chies. It's better. But the chiyus is not this in the exclusion. Yeah, it's not the chiyus that's the exclusion of no chiyus. It's the chiyus. It's a synthesis. It's a chiyus that has both the yesh and the ayin. It's Avram and Yitzchak. It's Yaakov Shabbat is Avram. The madrega of Yaakov is the shlemus of others. That's why it's dafke midas hatiferes.
Getting back to the yesh when you're no longer a slave to it.
Exactly. You return back to the yesh in a place where, and this is where there's no. And yet attachment, and you're choosing to have attachment. This is why where was the Kaddish? Where was it Nika the kedusha by Yaakov? When he says Vayivka Bam Makim, he encountered the essence of time, the essence of space. We talked about it, the essence of time, space, and consciousness. When he came Vayivka Makim, then he said This is the place. This is the Makim. This is right here, right now. But this is the oimik of the idea of kedusha. So these are the three again. These are the three shlavim and the connected. So the first one is chesed, which is the first tefillah. The second one is yitzchak, which is gvura, which is the second one. We're saying ashpa is chesed, ashpa is gvura, ashpa is also kedusha, which means that it's coming down and it remains attached, it remains detached, it remains attached. And that's where we're kedoshim b'chol yimei luchasela. That's why it's interesting word also sela. What's sela? Sela is a mother word. There's actually no translation of the word sela. If you look in all the Mefarshim Tanakh, there's no Mefarshim. It's something like in the Russian world.
Infinite.
Lav davket. Yes, Netzach Sel. But that's Netzach. That's Vod. Sel and Beint Azoy. It's Beint Azoy. It's not Mamish Sel. Say it Azoy. It's Azoy. It's Azoy. It's Zayin Azoy morgen. It's Zayin morgen. But it's Azoy. It's like Siyah. It's like is this period? Siyah. Yeah. But the Sel. Huh? Oh, so what's Sela? So the Ari writes that Sela. This is already in Gematria. Sela is a yichud yutkev of kenadnai with the four letters. Why is it yichud? It's 95. What's the yichud? Yichud means yutkev avke is yisoid, which is transcendence. Shem adnai is shem malchus, which is the kli, like shem shanikrov and nikra. So the yichud of shem avai and shem adnai is Sela. What's that Sela? That's Sela. I can't tell. If once I translate Sela, it's not translated. You understand? Sela. It is. Azoy. And it'll be loyal and vod. And it always was. That's Sela. That's a Sela vod. Take it was always, and it will always be, and it is always. It is. That's not Sela. That's the word of Lucha Sela.
Even though it's not boring.
Forget this. It's gewaldig.
Even it's Sela.
Yeah, exactly. So forget. What do you mean? It is a schachas abri of every single moment. There's such a gewaldige yeshus of the creation. But ich bin hecher from them. There's a word from the Kotzke that says that if you really want to be involved in the Eilam Haza, you have to be a tefach hecher. A tefach hecher. You have to stand one tefach hecher. If you really want to be in the Eilam Haza, this is the oimek of the word. If you really want to engage in this world in a real healthy way, that you don't get sucked into it, that you lose control in a way that it overwhelms you, or like a kid that eats ice cream until he gets sick. No, that's the nimsh, that's the mashal. Or like any person, get money, whatever, anything that person chases for, and then eventually that drowns them. So the word is, if you have a hecherkeit, if you want tefach hecher, then you can really enjoy. If you have the mechina of the kedusha, the shtickle precious that you have allows you to be mislabish, to be mazmin yourself, to be makdish yourself in every single prat in creation. That's Atta Kadosh, Shimcha Kadosh, V'Kdosh Shimcha Yom Yom Luchasel, Baruch Atah Hashem, Kela Kadosh.
And how is Seila Araya Adna
With the four Aces. That's not your rights.